This time last year, we were on a luxury solar-powered yacht on Mallorca, and it was dreamy, marred only slightly by the accompanying soundtrack of 17-year-olds who'd had one too many juicy little drinks in Magaluf. But a lot of people, rightly so, thought it was a tad expensive, so we thought we should turn it down a notch to this. Still a vessel, still electric, only this time made by a slightly maverick inventor who is cultivating a collection of electric things. And he's sharing his tips and tricks to do so that electric stuff retains the same ability to tweak, tune and tinkle with as the days of petrol past.
The Fully Charged show is generating positive energy with its live events all around the world. Next up, it's Fully Charged Live Canada. Click the top right of the screen to get your tickets today.
Justin is the maverick inventor in question and founded Grin Technologies, where they're making a load of things to electrify other things. I mean, a handbag skateboard, what more could you possibly want? So we ventured to their offices in Vancouver to go and take a look around. What is Grin Technologies? What are you trying to do?
So Grin, at its core business, is about electrifying everything that people want to convert in the world of micromobility and e-bikes. So we design and make parts needed to electrify, whether they're bicycles, tricycles, sometimes electric boats and marine applications. But our business is about enabling people to build the projects of their dreams. So this is the shop floor where we do electronic assembly, CNC production, where we make mechanic parts, electronic parts, do chemical potting, and designing things from motor controllers, battery packs, hub motors for electric bicycles, as well as a number of accessories you need to facilitate installing those on a bicycle.
Formerly a film production studios, Grin's facilities are decked out with rigs, tools and CNC machines, perhaps the ultimate dream workshop for anyone who owns an Allen key and a puncture repair kit. So we've just walked through the fulfillment centre, which I'm guessing you're packing up the e-bike kits to send to people ready to do their conversions across the world. And there are some pretty standard e-bikes there.
Yep.
But what is this?
So this is our creation for the 2018 Sun Trip Solar Electric Bike Race. So this is a competition that's been going on, organized by a fellow in France for, I think, since 2012. And in the year that we entered, it was actually a 12,000 kilometer journey from Lyon, France to Guangzhou, China.
On this?
On this, there are almost 50 different people who entered. There is some strict limitations on how big of a battery you could have, how big your solar panels were, and a very strict rule that you're not allowed to charge from an outlet anywhere on the road. So all of the electricity that you harvest for your batteries has to come from your solar system. So this contraption is a bit unusual, no doubt. There are a lot of tandem tricycles. It's a nice platform because you can have a roof over top. But I was not excited at the prospect of pedaling day in, day out for 20 days in a row, especially shooting for 200 plus kilometers a day. And I really am a big fan of rowing. And part of my personal aspiration was always to do a multi-day rowing trip from Vancouver to my hometown on Vancouver Island. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity to train for a multi-day rowing trip if I could just have one of the tandem vehicles being a rowing machine. I'd built a rowing bike, electrified some rowing bikes previously, but never before had we come across a combined pedal and rowing platform system on the same platform. With this solar system, we were able to capture almost 100 kilowatt hours of solar energy. So it's basically a fully charged Tesla battery. Actually, sorry, 85 kilowatt hours is what I recall us getting.
Well, I think a solar-powered Land Rover is not something I expected to see today, and neither was this. This is a penny farthing, but it doesn't look like a very old one.
I wish it was an old one. So I've fancied electrifying a penny farthing since day one. When I first got into electrifying projects, part of me just wanted to electrify every imaginable creation. And part of the interesting appeal of electrification is it can sometimes bring new life into old ideas. So penny farthing has all kinds of disadvantages. It's fit around. Before they had a chain, you could get a decent gearing so you don't have to pedal like a madman to get at a decent speed. But obviously the braking was difficult, mounting the device was difficult, but the electric motor in the back sort of negates a few of those downsides. So with this motor, I can actually get up and mount that with the motor providing the initial movement to get me up and stable. And it similarly can do a nice regenerative braking, slowing the penny farthing down. Normally you slow on the front wheel, but if you try to stop too much, you end up flipping over the front handlebars, doing a head over heels kind of dismount.
So I thought that this was going to probably win the prize for the most unusual electric vehicle that we've ever seen, until I saw this.
Yeah.
It's a wheelbarrow.
It's a wheelbarrow. And this was just an ordinary push wheelbarrow that's now been electrified with a motor replacing the front wheel. This is an idea that was sort of screamingly obvious to anyone who's worked with electric hub motors and also moving things around on their property. And we actually had a lot of customers using our e-bike motors for unusual applications like this. And material handling, material moving is just a perfect usage case for a motor. At the moment now, there's actually quite a few companies selling complete electric wheelbarrows, but nobody doing this business of offering a nice retrofit system if you have an existing wheelbarrow and you just want to put a motor on it. So we've now adapted, once again, electric bicycle components for the controllers, the throttles, the buttons, and enabled the electrification of something you're otherwise pushing around by hand. Again, it's a human-electric hybrid that works really, really well.
You were such an inventor of stuff. And yet, you have chosen not to commercialize any of these specific technologies. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Could be a deep probing question. It's a very simple answer, which is time, and I chase candy, right? And so to actually be successful commercializing something, you really need a disciplined focus. You have to ignore all these other fun things and focus on a lot of not fun aspects: procurement, reliability, QC, mass production. And we've done that for electric bike kits. It's been a ton of work, and I'm happy to have done that. But I know what it entails to go from a great proof of concept demonstrate to something that's commercialized, and I don't have the energy to pursue that for all of these, much as I would love to.
You'd have to change the name to like Grimace Technologies or something.
That would be for me. But I do hope, the reason I continue doing this is that we really hope to inspire others who do have the time and an interest to focus on one of these specific domains. So part of our role as a company is to offer motors, batteries, and electronics that are easy to adapt for out-of-the-box projects of this nature, and then really support other entrepreneurial, inventive types who want to develop that into something.
Well, that was going to be my other question, because something that's very, very obvious when you go on your website is that you have cultivated this community of tinkerers and other inventors who, empowered by the kit of parts that you've created, have gone on to create weird and wonderful things. What does that feel like?
It's the most fulfilling thing, and that is what wakes me up in the morning. Some people say, oh, Justin, you're living the dream, you have your own business. Running a business is hell. Like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's nothing pleasant about operating a business, but what is fulfilling is just seeing all of the ultimate creations that people make and the kind of delight that e-bikes and EVs of all natures bring to people's lives. And that is not just like a talking point, it's so legit, and that's where Grin Technologies names come from.
So in the world of electric vehicles, we're pretty familiar with the fact that you should make things smaller and lighter and more simple to make them more efficient. You've got rid of a wheel and a frame.
So yeah, unicycles take simplicity in cycling to the extreme. And it's one of the most wonderful things about the classic unicycle is you take everything superfluous off a bicycle, you take it down to the wheel, the pedals, and the seat to sit on. And it has wonderful simplicity, but of course is limited. Right? So a normal unicycle, you can't go very fast on it because you're pedaling the wheel's not very large in diameter unless you go to a penny farthing. And then the lack of the second wheel means that balancing is now a challenge you have to do. And of course, a fit trained unicyclist can go quite a large distance between falls or unplanned dismounts, as they call them. But nobody's perfect about that. So you're always just a little bit on edge that you might at any point lose your balance and go catering over the front of the unicycle. And so it occurred to me that, again, electrification can bring new life into an old idea, and that an electric motor has the ability to address both of those considerations or concerns.
There were a ton of other weird and wonderful creations and curious contraptions, from skateboards with pram wheels, torque-defying axle arms, Lego brick-like portable LIGO batteries that, at under 100 watt-hours each, mean they can be transported in carry-on luggage and recombined at your destination. But this stuff isn't limited to landlubbers. We're currently stood in what is quite clearly your den and your domain, but these are quite clearly not bike components. What's going on here?
Not bike components, but soon to be powered by bicycle components. So this is actually a project by a 75-year-old fellow who wants to retire. He's been building pedal-powered boats for the last 30 years, and in the last couple years he's been experimenting with electrification, and naturally came to Grin as one of the sources to try getting motors and motor controllers, and has been working to adapt it, taking an electric bicycle motor to actually run the propeller. In this case, we're using what is actually one of the hub motors that we use for our bicycles, and we simply adapt it with a chain to help spin the pedals. We also have adapted this exact same motor to drive the propeller of a full-size sailboat.
Amazingly, the torque required to turn a wheel on a bike is the same as that needed to turn a propeller on a 25 to 30 foot sailboat. And suddenly, the 100 kilo diesel engine can be replaced with a 4.5 kilo electric motor, and the space left over can be filled with 30 kilowatt hours worth of batteries. So I can see a solar array and I can hear the whir of electric motors, but this is the same technology that's in the bikes.
Yeah, not just the same technology, it's the actual same component. So the motor driving this boat is the exact same hub motor that was spinning the front wheel of the cargo bike that you guys rode to get out to the marina.
So 500 watts then?
This, at the moment we're running 1000 watts, but what's neat about electric motors is that the faster you spin them, the more watts they can do. So while that motor will do 500 to 1000 watts on a bike at a bike wheel speed, at the much higher RPM of a boat propeller, it can actually do up to 5000 watts. And at 5000 watts, this small electric motor that weighs just 4 kilograms actually replaces the diesel engine, massive cast iron thing that weighed, 300 pounds, power for power, and lets me get right up to the full 6 knots of sailboat speed.
So why have we come here today? Well, perhaps we needed a reminder that electrification doesn't always have to be political or serious or divisive. Sometimes it's enough to get cleanly from A to B just for fun and just because, and all while soaking up some Vancouver sunshine along the way. If electric yachts are your thing, check out our full episode on the silent yacht that we filmed in Mallorca. Or, if you'd like to stick with micromobility, watch our episode on Vancouver-based Envo, who amongst other things are making electric snow trikes.